Sorry is my default reflex. I apologize to the silence. It starts with the sound of a closing door, not a slam, just a click that echoes a little too loudly in the hallway. My brain immediately interprets that sound as a verdict. I haven't done anything, I haven't said a word in the last hour, but the silence feels heavy, and heavy silence is a space I've learned to fill with an apology. I am standing in the kitchen, staring at the lukewarm coffee I didn't even want. My fingers are tracing the rim of the mug over and over, until the skin turns red. This is the ritual. I am already rewriting the script of a conversation that hasn't happened yet, anticipating the slight tightening in someone else's jaw, the subtle shift in their posture that screams disappointment. I don't know why they're upset, or if they're upset at all, but I've already decided that the burden of the tension is mine to carry. It's a weight that fits perfectly in my hands. I'm sorry, I whisper to the empty room. It's barely audible, a reflex, like breathing. There is a specific kind of fatigue that comes from constantly scanning a room for the ghost of an accusation. It's not that I think I'm guilty of a crime, it's that I've spent so many years operating on the belief that my presence, by default, is a disruption. If I am here, and things aren't perfect, then I am the variable that caused the error. It's a quiet, hollow kind of ego, the arrogant assumption that everything wrong in the periphery is somehow orbiting me. I remember once, months ago, someone walked past me at the office without saying hello. My mind didn't jump to the fact that they might be having a bad day or simply didn't see me. Instead, my heart did that familiar, sickening drop. I spent the next 3 hours wondering if my shirt was too bright, if my email from yesterday was too blunt, if I had somehow taken up too much space in the break room. I eventually walked over to their desk, not to talk about work, but to ask if everything was okay between us. They looked at me, confused, tired, and completely oblivious to the internal war I had just waged. They hadn't even noticed I existed. That, to me, is the cruelest part. The realization that my hypervigilance isn't actually about the other person. It's about the terrifying void of not being sure where I stand. I apologize because I am terrified that if I don't offer a peace treaty immediately, the world will stop being hospitable to me. It's a preemptive strike against abandonment. If I offer the apology first, I am the one controlling the narrative. I am the one saying, I see you're unhappy, and am willing to be the villain so you don't have to. It's exhausting to play the role of the peacemaker when there is no war. Sometimes, I sit on the edge of the bed and try to trace where this started. Was it a specific moment? A look from a parent? A teacher who sighed a little too deeply when I asked a question? It doesn't matter. The habit is now woven into the fabric of how I move. I see it in the way I apologize to the waiter when I ask for a glass of water, or to the stranger I bump into on the sidewalk, even when they were the ones looking at their phone. I am constantly saying sorry for the inconvenience of being a human being in the way of someone else's trajectory. It feels like living in a house with thin walls. I can hear every creak, every muffled sigh, every shift in the air, and I take it as a personal instruction to change my own behavior. I have become an expert in reading micro-expressions, a cartographer of other people's moods. I know exactly how a lower lip twitches when someone is annoyed, and I know exactly how to mirror that annoyance back into submission. I have become so good at smoothing over the rough edges of other people's lives that I've forgotten what my own edges feel like. There is a strange, cold comfort in the apology. When I say it, the tension in the room usually dissipates. The other person looks relieved, or perhaps they just blink, confused by my sudden display of submission, and then the atmosphere returns to something manageable. They think I'm kind. They think I'm humble. They don't see the hollowed-out feeling inside, the part of me that is quietly disappearing to make sure everyone else feels comfortable. I often wonder who I would be if I just sat with the tension. What would happen if I let the silence be awkward? What if I didn't rush to fix the mood? The thought alone is enough to make my chest tighten, a spike of anxiety that feels like falling from a great height. I am so afraid that if I stop being the one who apologizes, I will stop being necessary. If I am not the one holding the mirror up to their needs, will they even look at me? So, I keep doing it. I say I'm sorry for being late, for being early, for being tired, for being energetic, for taking up air. I say it to the wall, to the screen, to the air around me. It's a phantom limb, the urge to concede, the instinct to retreat into the shadows of someone else's expectations. I am a ghost in my own house, constantly apologizing for the fact that I'm still haunting the halls. It's late now. The city outside is quiet, and the room is still. I'm sitting here, thinking about how many times I apologized today for things that didn't happen, for hurts that weren't inflicted, for emotions that didn't belong to me. And even now, sitting alone in the dark, I catch myself wanting to say it again. Just in case. Just in case the silence is mad at me. I don't know how to stop. It feels like the only language I have left to prove I am still part of the conversation. And so I sit, with my hands folded, waiting for a signal that never comes, holding an apology that no one asked for, wondering why the only thing I'm never sorry for is the one thing that keeps me trapped here. The belief that my own peace is a luxury I cannot afford.